What's going on, guys? What's happening out there? As you are coming in, please, by all means, do say hello and make sure that you do like the video. Give it a thumbs up. To get things started, let me first get a sound check and we get a visual check. Oh, crap. My bad, y'all. All right, looks like we got some people piling, and we'll just wait for everybody to get in, and then we can get started here. Just give it about a minute here. If you are watching this on replay, usually what I do the first few minutes, get the hellos in and greet everybody as they come in. So, we'll be doing that here to get things started. Sounds deep. I don't know. 480p-ish. I don't know. Should be getting at least 720p, maybe 1080. If anybody can confirm resolution. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you guys had an excellent week. Kind of a busy week with some hardware with the Note release. In my opinion, I think the Note's a really good phone. I don't like the smaller one as a Note. I just think they could have did better than that, which I think is why the Note 10 Plus is really the only way to go. And if you're going 5G, then that's there for you. But the price is very high, and there's a lot of issues with compatibility. So maybe these are things we could talk about tonight, if you guys would like to. All right, let's see who's in the house. We got Seabass is here. Martin is here. Matt Dubb is here. Glad to have you guys in. Jarrett, good to have you as well. Rafi holding it down with the big wrench. Thank you for being here, buddy, and taking care of business. Tom is here. Notification squad from the Discord. Sound is good. Video is good. Excellent. If anybody else can confirm. Cheryl, what's going on? Glad you could be here. 1080p. Hopefully it's holding up. I don't know. Should be good. Le Chaison. Good to have you. Big Chungus is among us. Good to have you. Gary Davis is here. Sneed Master. Oh, man. I don't know, Tom. It's should be at least 720p. The new streaming operation that they got going on, the live streaming, should put us at least at 720p, but I hear it's supposed to be 1080p. So, I don't know. I'll try 1080p on my end. We'll see what we get. Lawrence, good to have you. Brian, glad you could be here. Anthony, good to have you as well. Steve Sanchez is here. Good to have you, my friend. All right, Matt Dubb, audio and video is good. Tom says 50% chance the T-Mobile deal may fail with this lawsuit. No, I don't think so. LNW is getting capped on the Visible on his older line. Visible, so they did the whole uncap thing for July, and it looks like they're reverting back to their old ways because the performance isn't as good as it is now as it was during my review period, which is a little concerning. I'm going to wait a couple weeks and I'm going to see what happens, but I'll do a 2-month review here shortly. What's going on, Jar Cohen? Good evening, Thomas. Glad you could be here. Delon, good to have you. Delon, you've been here pretty steady, man. All the live streams, all the videos. Appreciate you, man. No, Raf's got more responsibilities than just that. Cameron, good to have you. Thank you for the video clearance. Who else is here? Jamil, always with the generosity, man. Thank you for the super chat, boobs. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. 30 watching. All right, we're starting to pile in. As you guys are coming in, make sure you do say your hellos and make sure that you do like the video. It's good to have you guys here on this Friday evening podcast. We are live, coming live from the CLE, the 216. Good to have you guys here on the podcast. We're going to talk everything that we saw from the week. So that would be the Note 10. Specifically, I'm sure we'll talk about the 5G variant. I don't know, maybe some of you guys are thinking about it. Maybe it's out of your price range. Maybe it's in your price range. I don't know. A lot of people tell me as long as you can finance it, it's affordable. So I tend to disagree, and I think there's a lot of principality to it. $1,300 is $1,300, and it's hard to justify spending that kind of money on a smartphone unless you really have that kind of dispensable income. So if you do, by all means, go ahead and get it. But if you have to think twice about purchasing a smartphone, I would go against it. So, Ray's Mobile Carrier News, what's up, buddy? Glad you could be here. Eric Black is in the house. Good to have you on. Anthony says Verizon just can't be trusted, period. Eric says, do you think Metro by T-Mobile is going to get at least 1080p because they've been at 480p forever? You know, I think they're due for an upgrade, especially once the network gets integrated from the Sprint merger. They'll obviously be increasing their capacity. So in that case, you know, I like the chances. Hold on a second. I gotta get this thing. Turn do not disturb. Okay. All right, we're good. Yeah, I think with the merger's capacity changes to the network, I think it provides it a lot of opportunity. I mean, if you could imagine, Cricket's got a cap. Boost has a cap. And Metro has a cap. If Metro was to lift those caps, they'd be the first of its kind. It would be a game changer. So it's possible. I mean, it just depends on how fast they can get the network enhanced and increase the capacity. So that way that everybody has a good experience on the network. That's always going to be the MO of the companies. How do they keep the network from bottoming out and keep people connected and keeping them with some form of LTE? Yeah, by all means, as you guys are coming in, do say hello to the SMT and the rest of the Sneedles here, and then do like the video. Much appreciated. Tiny Toppin, what's going on, brother? Trying to catch up in the live chat here. All right, so how far are we in here? We're in at least 5 minutes here, so I think it's time to go ahead and get started with today's topics. What I actually wanted to do to get things going was I wanted to check in with you guys to see if you watched any of the videos from today. The one video I dropped today was actually an early release for the patrons. So I want to give a big shout out to the patrons over on the SMT Patreon. If you would like to get exclusive content, more videos like what we have here on the YouTube channel, but throw in some extras, throw in some more in-depth looks at certain topics, and then throw in early release access. All right, so there's some perks to Patreon. Do consider joining the Patreon page. There will be a link in the description box below. You guys can check that out now. There are 3 tiers to the Patreon. There's a $1 tier, there's a $2 tier, and there is a $3 tier. The $2 and $3 tiers will get you exclusive access to the videos. The $1 tier will get you your shout outs. The $3 tier not only gets you shout outs, early access, and exclusive videos, but it also gets you moderator access on the Discord. So it kind of gives you some special access within the communities. So if you really enjoy what I'm doing here with the channel and you want to take it one step further and support the SMT directly, there's the Patreon. All right, so enough of the Patreon. But the patrons already saw the history of video for the AT&T history of. So I've done the Verizon one. I think that one I did like sometime last month. Might have been June, end of June-ish. And then I officially released to the public, to everybody, the AT&T variation of it. So I don't know if you guys watched it. It took a lot of work. The history of AT&T goes back to the 1800s. And yeah, dude, Hamza, I did the Thanos thumbnail because I really I see the connection between what Thanos was doing in the Infinity Saga and what AT&T has always done. AT&T has always bought out other companies. They've always been trying to purchase their competition. They just want to own everything. So I thought, it was kind of a funny play on it, kind of like a metaphor. AT&T is Thanos. They want all, like Thanos wants all the Infinity Stones, right? And then get rid of half of the universe or whatever. Like that's how I feel like AT&T is. They're like basically Thanos. So I just, what's going on, Hamza? So that was kind of the thing I was going with there. Trying to get my caffeine in so I don't fall asleep on you guys. So, anyways, I thought you guys might like that little comparison. If you watched the video already, awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, maybe after the live stream, check it out. There's a lot of work that went into that video. That video probably took me 2 days of research. I can't just put in like 10 hours of research in right away. I had to kind of space it out over a couple of days. Tons of note taking, lots of organization, trying to put it in sequence. And the thing is, like with AT&T, it's complicated. They're a company that starts out strictly for calling and then ends up getting involved in computers, and then they get involved in business, and then they get involved with wireless, and then they get involved with TV, then they get involved with internet. So they're a massive company. They got tons of arms, extensions, and tentacles, and they got their hands in a bunch of stuff. So it took a lot, and and organizing it was a challenge. And then to make things even more interesting, I kept on finding stuff. Hamza, you're right. It is history of stuff is complicated because, like I said, AT&T's history dates back to the 1800s. So you've got the end of the 1800s all the way through the 1900s, and then now currently. So, and then there was a lot of jumping back and forth because things were happening in wireless in the 2000s, and things were happening in long distance and calling in the 80s, and then it was the Ma Bells, split into Baby Bells, and it was just a mess. Mark Garcia, glad you could be here. Jessica Fuller, thanks for stopping by. Good to have you. Yeah, Cheryl. That's actually, I think, my recommendation for the AT&T video is make sure you have something cold. The video itself is like 20 minutes long, like legit. That's going to be the longest video I probably ever make that isn't a live stream. Live streams can go on for hours. Randy, I don't think anybody's interested in your stray cats, bro. Or your neighbor's stray cats. But good to have you on the live stream. Timothy Ball, good to have you. All right, so we had the history of AT&T. So that's out there. If you guys haven't seen it, check that out at some point, maybe over the weekend. You got some downtime. Put your headphones in and maybe learn a little bit of something. Sean, I did my best with the video, honestly. And yeah, I really felt obligated to put that disclaimer in the beginning. I'm not going to tell everybody exactly what I said and how I delivered it. But some people are they're so committed and they're so like attached to their providers. Like, who's paying who? You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't targeting anybody. I was just saying, like, if you're the type of person that feels some strange affinity and love for their provider, I mean, maybe you got to check your priorities because the last I checked, we pay them, they don't pay us. So that's all I was saying. And I get it. When you enjoy a service, you want to build it up and prop it up and all that. But truth of the matter is, you're paying them, they're not paying you. So you could say and do whatever you want. And I've told, there's a couple of people in the comments that are saying, like, be careful, don't talk about carriers, they'll slow you down and all this other nonsense. Man, I don't care, man. They ain't paying me. None of them sponsor me. I don't want their sponsorships. I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? I have my viewers, my subscribers. It's your guys' donations and support that really drives the production here, anyways. So, yeah, exactly, Mark. I agree. We don't owe the carriers anything. We're paying our bills; they owe us. Thomas, you got to get out of that 240p, bro. What's going on, Pete? Glad you could stop by and join the live stream here to live chat. You driving back home, buddy? You're in Independence, Mizzou? Oscar, good to have you on. Long time no see. You know what, Sean? I try to be objective. I really don't think there's any other way you could be, because when you're not objective and you've committed to something and you've dug in, you're you're not leaving your options open, and you're not probably getting the truth of whatever you're looking at. So, for example, if it's the carriers, if you blindly just support your carrier and everybody did that, they wouldn't innovate. They wouldn't provide value. They wouldn't feel like there's any risk of you leaving. You always want carriers on their toes, which is why I always tell people every so often, take a look at your plan. See if another carrier can offer you a better value to performance. It's true, if you're happy with what you have, you should stay. But you never know what's out there. Like, for example, if T-Mobile was to offer me a better rate on my wireless, and the performance is pretty close to Verizon's, I would consider going that way. Hamza, you're right. When it comes to brands, whether it's a smartphone company, like, in the case of, like, some people are just diehard Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy. Some people are diehard iPhones. Some people are diehard Google phones. I mean, if you enjoy it, that's great. If you love Verizon or AT&T, that's great. But if you don't put their feet to the fire, then they're always going to take advantage of their customers. You got to make them feel like they got to do more for you. Oh, Pete, believe you me, T-Mobile's excellent in Cleveland. In fact, the speeds that's probably the fastest network in Cleveland. It's either Verizon or T-Mobile. I haven't checked AT&T in a few years, though, so I don't want to say that they're not good enough, but something tells me AT&T is up their game nationally. Maybe it's worth a shot for me to check it out, even though I legit hate AT&T, and you guys know this. See the AT&T history of. Cameron, I miss the BlackBerry too, man. I miss the BlackBerry days. Honestly, I had a Storm, I had a Curve, I had a Tor, I had a Bold, I had the Storm 2. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I came really close to getting the BlackBerry Priv a couple years ago, and in my eBay cart right now, there is a BlackBerry. What is that new one? The BlackBerry LE2. I'm looking at it, man. It's got that hardware keyboard, man. I'm tempted. Problem is, it's like almost $400, even used. So I'm kind of contemplating that maybe I shouldn't spend that kind of money on a used BlackBerry. Yeah, as you guys are coming in, go ahead and say hello and make sure that you do hit that like button. Hey, Tony, glad you're liking the videos. You know what, Tony? The speeds for Visible for me have been really good, honestly. But I'm in a very strong Verizon. Thank you for the super chat / PayPal donation. Thank you so much. I'll be sure, Matthew Dubb, I'll be sure to get you a shout out in the production of the next video. Thank you so much. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, the speed test. All right, so I'll actually put this up to the camera so you guys can see. All right, so you guys will see. All right, so it is on Visible. You guys can see down here. All right, what I'll do is I'll hit go, and then you guys can get the speed on it. So this is Visible's LTE. All right, so that's just about the slowest that I'll usually see, like 5 megabits per second. I mean, it used to be faster, but like this week, I've noticed that speeds have slowed down a little bit. But my uploads are usually really good, 15, 20, 40 megabits per second. But I have noticed that this week that they have slowed. If it stays like this, I'm going to have to re-review the service because I wasn't getting these slow speeds before. I know it's kind of peak right now. You know what I'm saying? But I will do a re-review, like a secondary review. If I see that it is permanently slowing down. Because like when I got the service, they had got rid of that, the slowing down, that whole like 5 megabits per second cap. So I've had the service for like a month and a half. I'll do a second review if I have to. Sean Williams, douchebaggery. Yeah, man. That's AT&T for you. All right, Pete. We'll be glad to have you on. Tony, we have Verizon too. I've got a Verizon postpaid, and I'm actually not very happy with the Verizon postpaid. Where we at here in the live chat? Now we're just getting the notifications, really? Seriously? People are just getting notified now? It's kind of random. Anyway. Uh, got the notification from Discord. Break Brothers watching Sneed. Zoli said Visible took 3 months to port my number. Man, that is a nightmare. That sucks. As long as you got it back. You know what, Pete? I'm thinking about just migrating the entire fam, all 6-7 lines, and just taking them all to T-Mobile. I don't even think I'm going to mess around. I really feel like Verizon's been jerking me. Seabass, it's kind of touch and go with Visible's customer care. It's tough. What's up, Todd? Glad you could be here. See, that's the thing, Matt Dub. Like, I can't rely on the YouTube notifications. It's like the system is broken. So what I do is I always encourage everybody, get on the Discord, even if you don't chat, even if you don't talk to anybody, even if you don't, engage in the conversation, at least you'll get the notifications like right away. Alan W., good to have you on, buddy. I see you in the comment section all the time. Good to have you on the live stream. I don't know how you could dislike Verizon more than AT&T. There's tiers to hate for the carriers. I got AT&T like way at the top. Verizon's like a close second. And then I have Sprint third because their network is just so far behind. I don't know. And they made some bad decisions and stuff like that. So I mean, but that's incompetence. That's not like they're not like the worst when it comes to business practices. I mean, I do hear horror stories like people getting charged and not getting refunds for certain things, but T-Mobile is like my favorite carrier. I seem to hate them the least. But I think John Leisure is kind of like a gift and a curse. I think he's a brilliant businessman, but he's too much of a mascot for my liking, personally. Yeah, you know what, Pete? I think that's going to be the case. If I just migrate the whole family, I'll get a great deal. I don't know. What are we going to pay? 30, 35 a month for each line? It should work out quite nicely. I'm paying about 45 a line right now with Verizon. So as long as the coverage is there and the speeds are there, the performance is there, T-Mobile is going to take care of their customers, on the customer care side. So that should be fine. Yeah, Hamza, join the Discord, man. I got a link in the description below. Yeah, the notifications are a nightmare. Jessica says, "Would you ever try AT&T again, even if it was prepaid?" I had AT&T prepaid back in the day. I want to say like maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It was fine. I mean, the service was the LTE is there. The one thing I didn't like about AT&T is if you don't have an AT&T device, like it's not branded, bought from them, they don't give you HD calling, Wi-Fi calling, or voice over LTE. So it was kind of a pain. So that's why I ended up switching and going back to Verizon. Yeah, auto 1080p is great. I don't get that on Verizon postpaid. Can't believe it. It's like you pay an arm and a leg for the service. You got all these lines, and they won't even give you HD, full HD. Mark, honestly, you never know how good a service is until you try it. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to try the service, go ahead and copy and paste my referral code. The first month will cost you $20. In my personal opinion, you could spend $20 in a lot worse ways. So if you're looking to maybe change providers and you know Verizon service is good in your area, then I say give the Visible a try. You might like it. It's a great value. Oh yeah, Tom. T-Mobile's got the customer care on lock. Andy Ward, what's happening? Pete, I really feel like there are some plans. There are a couple that might be cheaper than 40 a line. I don't know. I feel like I've checked into this, and actually, I think according to business, 6 lines would cost me, I think 200, like 210 maybe, something like that, for the 6 lines. That sucks, Lawrence. They've been known to do that. You know what, Lavendi, you are correct. You really have to judge market to market. This is why I always tell people you got to try the service in the areas where you live, in the areas where you work, in the areas you travel to. You really can't take like the recommendation of somebody to heart, because what if it's a certain way where they are, but then where you are, it's awful. So, for example, I have a friend who lives in New York City. According to him, Sprint is fantastic in New York City. Well, Sprint's not good here in the CLE. Therefore, I don't recommend Sprint to people here, but I do recommend Sprint to people in New York City. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think about it like that. How good is the service being provided in a certain place? Because everybody knows there's different tower arrangements, there's different types of, how many users are on the network in that area. I hear Florida is really bad for T-Mobile too, and California. All right, so Tom says the Magenta plan is 180 a month for 5 lines. You can get more than 5 lines on T-Mobile. It's a pretty good deal. 40 lines each, huh? 40 a line, I should say. Yeah, Seabass, I'd be going business. Oscar says I send a super chat. It didn't go through. Yeah, it probably didn't go through. I don't know. I have a problem sending super chats too. So like, uh, Zoli, tell me about this Volkfi. I don't know much about it. I've never heard of that. Hey Tony, thanks man. Appreciate you using the referral code. Honestly, I mean it helps me, but like really I just want, if you guys are interested in trying it, it gets you the $20 for the first month. So it works for both of us. Frankie says I should get the Kickstarter 25 on 4 lines before the merger. It'll be set for the time of. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess I could. But Sprint's so bad. It sucks here. It's really, really bad here. It's always in 3G. You can't get more than 5 lines on T-Mobile? What? How is that possible? On business, I can. It goes up to 6. No, I'm not military. No. I'm sorry, Zoli. I'm not familiar with the Volk file. I'll have to check into it, though. Seabass says, yep. Sprint is good in New York City. Tom, 36 a line. See, that's a good deal, honestly. You know what, Alan? I had an AT&T LT connection on my Chevy Malibu, and it was pretty good. It It was actually really good. Problem is, I think like after the first 3 months, they cut it off like it was like a trial, and it was good. They gave me like 10 gigs a month. Daniel, what's going on, man? Glad you could be here. Service was good. I always had full LTE and stuff like that, but they kept trying to sell it to me, and I don't need it. I mean, my phone's connected. I'm good. You know what, Seabass, you're probably right about that. California struggles. It needs more infrastructure. California, not only is it a big state, but it's a heavily populated state. Marco's paying $200 for 6 lines. Which provider is that? I hear, Lavendi, I hear Verizon's actually pretty good in Florida. What's up, Imprez? You know what, Jarrett? I'm not opposed to getting a VPN service and bypassing the throttle. It would be nice to just have the HD, but whatever. I don't know. I think I'd want the HD personally. Nice, Gary. Got a good deal on that phone too. $19. Psh. Would you pay taxes on it? Because I think that phone is that's one heck of a deal. I've never heard of VolkFi. I have no idea what that is. Lawrence, honestly, Sprint in my area is a struggle. Ooh, family can get 12. What's up, Stacy? Glad you could be here, man. Thanks for stopping by. Tito, what's happening? See, Mark, that's the thing. Like in Phoenix, Sprint's good, right? When you travel outside of Phoenix, is it still good? Do you travel? I mean, if the answer is no, you don't travel or you don't leave your home area too much, Sprint's good. You go with that because you can get a really good rate on Sprint. You know. Frankie says Sprint is good to great here in the DFW surrounding areas. You've seen my speed performance test. Yeah, Frankie, I've seen when Sprint's good, it is good. I mean, their technology, I mean, it's lagging behind in the voice over LTE side, but where they have good band 41, I mean, it's really good. Jamil says, I have something for you. You can call Visible and import your number in 5 minutes. Some people have been complaining that it's been a struggle. I feel like I missed a super chat. Zoli says, please do research VolkFi. I'll check into that for you, buddy. You know what, Jarrett? That's a good point. T-Mobile doesn't add on taxes and fees. It's all included. That's true. So where I'm paying $240 a month for my Verizon Unlimited service, after taxes and fees, it's more. You know what I'm saying? Or I think it's like $220 a month. So it goes up to like $240 something. So you got to take into account taxes and fees and these surcharges, slap on another $20-$25. I'm impressed with the $5 super chat. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for the donations. Much appreciated. And honestly, guys, the donations is why I continue to do the production, honestly. And like I said, for those of you that are donating, for those of you that are sending super chats, by all means, do not hesitate to offer ideas. Hey, consider doing a video in this topic, or maybe you could address this, concept of video, or, could you present something on this? I could do little spins on videos, stuff like that. I don't know anything about VolkFi, but wow, you guys are really, really want me to talk about it, huh? See, Jamil, I've heard that actually. TK from Total Tech. Big shout out to TK. He told me the same thing. He called tier 2 support at Verizon and they whitelisted some other phone form that wasn't an officially supported device. So I've heard that before. Jared, I tweeted Samsung, I got no response. I'm gonna have to call customer care. I don't know what else to do. I'm looking for an official document online and I can't find it. So, and Prez, I haven't talked about the Note 10 5G yet. Actually, I do have a video on it. I did a live stream the day of the launch event. So what was that? The 7th, so that would have been Wednesday. There's a lot of details in that video if you want to check that out. I also have like a dedicated video for it. Jessica, if you want me to do a history of Dish, that would make sense since they're about to be a fourth carrier. As long as everything goes well with the states trying to sue and block the merger. But like I said, I don't like their chances. I don't care that Texas is involved. It doesn't matter to me. I don't think it really changes anything. I mean, there were 13 states before. Now there's 14. Whatever, you know. Lavendi says, I'm floored that T-Mobile and AT&T haven't responded with price drops since Verizon did. So the thing about them not responding, T-Mobile's still cheaper than Verizon when you compare, similar plans. You know what, Pete? I was just reading about that, man. Yeah, they're opening up public comment. I think it's the FCC actually. Uh, some commission actually requested it. So, well, if you guys really want that history of Dish, I could do that. You guys got to remember, like I did Verizon, I did AT&T. I think I want to do T-Mobile next. I think I want to do Sprint before they kind of go kaput. Uh, and then kind of get to Dish. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how. It depends how long. Like with the merger news slowing down, I could do a history of every week. So maybe next week I'll do like the history of T-Mobile. Maybe the following week I'll do a history of Sprint, and maybe sometime, maybe by the end of September, I'll do a history of Dish. That'd be cool. But I feel like since I did Verizon and AT&T, logically it makes sense to do T-Mobile next. It just seems like it would make sense to me. Brian says, Note 10 5G on T-Mobile, take my money. uh, yeah, see, that's the thing, Tom. Like, I'm paying $240 right now for 6 lines for what the Magenta Plus plan offers with Verizon. So I don't know if it really makes sense for me to leave, even though I like T-Mobile as a company better than I like Verizon. Tom, there's no Verizon 5G in Cleveland. There's actually T-Mobile 5G in Cleveland, which is why I'm really tempted to at least get one T-Mobile SIM card and then get a 5G device and test it. Problem is, I even looked for a used 5G phone on eBay. Cheapest one I could find is like $800, like 810. And even if I was to pay using PayPal credit, I could finance it over like a year. My payment would be like $50 a month or something like that. Something crazy. Steve Espinoza, I have the 2017 new Verizon Unlimited plan, the one when they first brought it back. So, and believe me, that's the best thing they have right now that's not grandfathered from years before. No, Tom, that's kind of shady. I'm not really not gonna try to buy something, use it for testing, and then return it and pay a restock. I don't know, man. I mean, I'd rather buy it and then sell it legitimately. I mean, if I was like a big time YouTuber, like let's say I had like 50,000 subscribers and all my videos were getting like 50,000 views and or better, I would have enough ad revenue to outright purchase the device and then I could give it away. I could do a giveaway. Don't be shady, Tom. I'll tell you what, though, Tom. Maybe you're onto something. Maybe I could try the 5G. Say, hey, it's not good. It's hardly ever connected. What's the point? I could probably pull that off. Chris Estes is in the house. Glad you could be here, buddy. Thank you for that. Matt W. I couldn't find anything on Swap. I found it on eBay. That's the only place where I could find used 5G phones. They got the LG V50 Thin Q. I saw a Sprint one for 800. I saw an S10 5G. I saw a bunch of them actually. The S10 5Gs are going for about 850, 880, 900. Some people are selling them for like 1300. Still, I don't know. I think Verizon's restocking fee is $35. Oh, it's a percentage? I've never heard that. Last I checked, like the last time I ever returned a phone to Verizon, back in the day when they used to do the subsidized phones, when they would like sell you a phone on contract for like $200 or something, they were charging like 35 restocking fee. Jar Cohen says, "Loved your AT&T history video. Thank you. You're the holy of gods." Cheryl says, "Why am I surprised there are used 5G phones?" Yeah, something tells me that people were very disappointed when they were hardly connected. You got to keep in mind, like, there's not a city in America right now that has any considerable amount of 5G connectivity. Chicago's got a lot only because that's like the granddaddy of them all for Verizon. That's where you got Motorola headquarters, and they had the Moto Mod coming out of there. Uh, I don't know. I feel like Sprint's 5G is also there. Atlanta's kind of a 5G hub also because Atlanta has Sprint's 5G and T-Mobile's 5G, which actually is great because when the merger goes through, they'll have a lot of infrastructure already in place. Pete's almost home, guys. Ooh, Tom, that's a good idea. But see, the thing is like if I'm going to test out 5G, I got to go find it. Even though 5G from T-Mobile is offered in Cleveland, it's like a section of downtown. I think it extends from like the Cleveland Convocation Center to like East 30th Street, which is just past Cleveland State University. There's just not much of it. So 9 hours of driving left. T-Mobile connected car isn't unlimited. It's 2 gigs at $10 a month. Slower speeds after you reach the 2 gigs. They do offer higher plans. I think my AT&T connected one when I had my Chevy Malibu connected, I think they told me it was going to be like $30 a month. It was going to get me like 30 gigs or something like that, or $30 like 20 gigs, something like that. I didn't need it. I don't need to launch Pandora from my, head unit radio. I could just do it from my phone. Got Bluetooth. My phone's got a headphone jack. I didn't need it. All right, so for my next history of video, I'll probably do T-Mobile. Does anybody want me to do a history of AT&T and T-Mobile merger from 2011? If you want to see that, history of the failed and blocked T-Mobile AT&T merger from 2011. If you want to see that, type 1. Let me know if you guys are interested in that because I could do that. I think that one would be interesting because if you think about it, it's very applicable to what's going on right now. Oh, wow. You guys really want to see that? It's a lot of ones. You guys really like the History of series, huh? I enjoy making them. I mean, you guys got to keep in mind, like, I learn stuff as I'm doing the research at the same time. In a lot of cases, like in the case of AT&T, this stuff predates me. I'm only 35. So AT&T's history goes back over 100 years. Ooh, Seabass, that's an important revelation there. Tom doesn't want to see it. All right, maybe I'll do the history of the failed merger. Cheryl says, I enjoy learning as an old broad. Well, I guess that makes me an old bro because I love learning. I know, Tom, you're going to watch all the videos. You're the big homie, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead. Like the video. Get into that algorithm. Got to feed the YouTube algorithm. Yeah, Frankie, you know what? That's a good idea too, man. And actually, Frankie, you know what I could do with that one, the 2014 Sprint T-Mobile merger, is I could compare and contrast, this attempt versus that attempt. Kind of look at the political climate at that time and look at the political climate today. Obviously, I would say that this merger couldn't have come at a better time. It's merger season. This administration is, not to say they're pro-merger, but there's a lot of mergers happening, right, under their watch. During the Obama administration, mergers were like, they were karate chopped and taekwondo kicked into smithereens. So, I think about the timing and how important timing is to a merger. Which administration is there? What the climate is like at the time when they propose it. Sometimes timing is everything. It doesn't even matter what's happening. It's just the timing. Cheryl says I had to go get a Coke. I know I got mine. I got to get my last little bit of caffeine. I got to get to bed here in a little bit, but need a little kick. I was looking at the analytics of my channel, like my audience, and the two biggest segments of my audience are ages like 25 to 32 and 33 to 44 or something. So like one's like 22%, the other's 27%. And then obviously it gets smaller as it goes away from kind of like that middle ground. But I'm really happy to see that there's a segment of my viewers that are older, like 55, 60, which is great because something tells me 10 years ago that segment would have been extremely small or maybe even non-existent. It's good to see that people are, tech savvy, want to be in the know about wireless, technologies and things like that. I think it's important that they do that because right now in the political side, the representation we have is failing us because they don't understand tech. They don't know how to do what's best for their people because they don't understand technology. Let's get an age check. All right. All right. I don't even know if it's really important that I know everybody's ages, but I think sometimes it does give me perspective, because I was surprised to see how many younger people I have and how many, elder statesmen I have that watch my content. Yeah, we're all over the place. I'm old. Hey, I'm a man. I'm 40. If you guys know where that's from. Hit that live button, Seabass. Seabass is 20. You're a baby, Seabass. Carlos S. Even if the merger doesn't happen, Sprint's been pushing a lot of tower upgrades. Voice over LTE is perfect here in the whole state of Arizona, Nevada, Utah without issues. You know what, Carlos? That's true. But honestly, I think the only reason they've been pushing certain markets with voice over LTE and upgrades is they know they have to compete in the now. If the merger were to fail, I mean, they'd still be upgrading their network. They're trying to make money, obviously. Their biggest issue has always been their network. But I think at the same time, they're viewing it like, even if we're investing in our network, we're still investing towards the T-Mobile merger because it's network integration, right? It's eventually going to be one network. So, Carlos, thank you for that excellent comment, and thank you for the super chat. Thank you for that kind donation. It's a good point. They are upgrading a lot, but they have so far to go. Like you listed some of the states that are improving. Well, in my state of Ohio, in the Cleveland area, it's awful. Their LTE has expanded, but there's still too much 3G. There's no reason why there should be so much 3G for a national wireless provider in 2019. I don't ever see 3G on my Verizon lines. Never. Honestly, it's been like years since I've seen 3G. Where is the Jack with that Coke? No, no Jack for me. Just the Coke. Hold the Jack. Mark Kramer's in the house. Good to have you. Pete had Bell Atlantic. Somebody was telling me in the comment section they had 9X. I don't know if anybody had them. You know what, Frankie? The thing about the 2014 Sprint T-Mobile merger, Obama was not having it. The Obama administration shut down everything. They shut down the AT&T T-Mobile merger like almost immediately. Same thing with the Sprint T-Mobile merger of 14. Hey, I'm old. You know, Wake Forest, North Carolina, you'll see 3G on Verizon and AT&T. Now, Timothy, I obviously there's going to be extended areas, where everybody's in 3G mostly, just because the LT is not there. But I like to use the Cleveland area because I consider the Cleveland area kind of like a I don't know, like a second tier city. They're not Chicago, they're not New York, they're not LA, Miami, Houston. It's kind of like that big small city, I guess we'll call it, or small big city. There really shouldn't be any 3G here. It's the only company with 3G is Sprint. So that's why I have trouble, seeing taking them seriously as a provider in my area. Matt W said I had Voice Stream wireless before it became T-Mobile. I've heard several of my viewers mention Voice Stream. A lot of people liked Voice Stream, actually. Chris Erickson, hate to see the Sprint name go away, but the merger is necessary for 5G and for both companies. Very true. I think both companies see this as an opportunity to get ahead, to compete on a national scale in 5G. And, Sprint can't do it on its own without expenditure from SoftBank. And SoftBank just doesn't want to, they don't want to invest. It's funny because Masa-san, SoftBank is, I forget what SoftBank is worth, but it's like over 100 billion or something. It's a crazy number, 50 billion. I forget what they're worth. Capital, cash, assets. It's like they're a huge company. We're talking a Japanese company here, and they don't want to invest in Sprint because it's been failing, and they've only seen it get worse over time. So I get that they don't want to invest, but that's why it'll never get better, because there is no investment. The problem is the poor leadership and decision making has hindered the growth of Sprint. They haven't even stuck to a plan that has been executed properly. They build a plan, they start execution, and then they back out of it and try something else. They never actually see it through. It's a vicious cycle. We got a super chat from Carlos again. Thank you so much. I can send you some of my speed tests if you give me your email address. I was in Phoenix last night driving back over 200 megabits per second and uploads at 20. I'm really surprised about those uploads, Carlos. I'm very surprised, actually. Usually uploads on Sprint are like crawling speeds. So that's awesome that you're getting 20 megabits. Verizon, while AT&T and T-Mobile are crap. Yeah, I'm sure it happens occasionally, but again, nationally, Sprint has a lot of deficiencies. So wherever you were, it was working well. There are places around the nation that without a roaming agreement, Sprint has little to no connectivity. So that's really the issue in that case. And by the way, Carlos, thank you so much for the super chat. If you want to email anything to me, sneedmobiletech@gmail.com. I think I got that email also in the description box, I think. Frankie, that's not a bad name, man. Sprint by T-Mobile. Not bad. Yeah, big shout out to the Discord community. Check it out if you haven't done so already. Man, WiMAX was a failure. God. The Radio Shack thing was a failure. WiMAX was a failure. What was that other service they had? Nextel turned out to be a failure. I mean, there's just a lot, man. Jar Cohen wants to know, to everybody in the live chat, anybody upgrading to a new device? Anybody upgrading to a new iPhone? Something tells me it's going to stick around at that $1,000 range. I think Apple has found its sweet spot there for the iPhone 11, or yeah, X1, XL, whatever. You know what, Sebastian? As the wireless networks were maturing, Nextel was behind. It was good for the chirp, right? The walkie-talkie. But the actual call service was not good, which is weird. You would think that the calling would have been good. But at the time, we didn't have LTE, so who knows what would have happened with Nextel. You know what Frankie Castro is saying about Sprint's demise started with the acquisition of Nextel? They did get the spectrum from Nextel. They did get the customers from Nextel. There were benefits of acquiring Nextel, but what they spent for it never kicked back. They never got the reward from it, which kind of sucks. Timothy, it's going to have an Intel chip. I know that. I know the new iPhones will have Intel chips, and they're awful. They're slower. Their signal strength is not as good. I would actually tell people to pass on the iPhone 11, 11S, 11R. Maybe wait till next year to upgrade. Unless your phone's like in really bad shape. Maybe Apple boo hiss markers. The Note 10 is tempting. Chris, thank you for the donation. Chris, thank you so much, man. Big shout out to Chris Estes in the live chat. Thank you for your donation, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, big shout out to Matt Dubb, Chris E. Thank you guys so much for your donations, your PayPal donations. Actually, get those updates in live. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I'll be sure to give you guys shout outs in the next produced video. Note 10 is tempting me only because of the trade deal, but I might keep the Note 9. Matt, who is your Note 9 through? Which carrier did you buy that from? Curious. Carlos, I agree. Nextel was awesome for the chirp. That was the coolest thing, man. Instant connectivity, especially if you were on site, like a job site, construction. Plus, they had that construction one. It was great. V Stag says, shop said my muffler bearing is getting loud. What oil should I use? It's a Ford. Use Castrol. Yeah, you're right, Carlos. It definitely was. But again, that was over Iden, was it? Iden Tech? I don't know. Maybe Pete knows about the technology for the chirp from the Nextel. It's been a while. But Alan, I wouldn't say that Nextel was the reason why Sprint under. I just think it was kind of like the starting era of how they're failing. I think Radio Shack was also part of the reason they failed. And obviously that was in the Nextel deal. It was all around the same time too. Timothy Bello is going with the Pixel 4 for the next phone. I hear it's getting an upgraded RAM. I hear it's getting 6 gigs of RAM. You know it's going to have an awesome camera. You know you're getting good software. You know you're getting support. I hear the battery sizes are improving. They're getting bigger, which is good. It's going to be expensive, though. You're probably going to have to spend about $900 for the XL. Probably have to spend about $800 for the smaller one. You know what, Frankie? I'm hearing a lot of people are pre-ordering the Note 10 Plus. They're not pre-ordering the 5G ones much. I mean, I don't know how, like other than just asking, reading, looking on vlogs, Reddits, something tells me the ratio is probably like 7 out of 10 are the Note 10 Plus. 1 out of 10 is the 5G variant, and like 2 out of 10 is the regular Note 10, the smaller one. Seabass, you're right. It's been bad management every step of the way. Bad business decisions, bad execution, bad planning. And that's the thing with business. It's never one thing that ruins a business. It's like, it's a snowball. It starts one thing and then another, and it just gets bigger and worse. Alan, believe you me, I had a lot of friends that were in construction, people that had construction businesses. They were all on Nextel. Everybody used them, and they had those really durable, tough phones, the rubberized yellow one and stuff. It was awesome. Tom, I'm using the Google Pixel 3 AXL. And you know what, Seabass? That 5G Verizon Note 10 5G, that's the worst one. It's millimeter wave only. So I used to recommend Verizon phones to anybody. Got all the LTE bands, all this compatibility. Not anymore. The 5G Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, the worst one is the Verizon model. The one you want to get is the T-Mobile one because it's low band and mid band 5G. The Sprint one, I believe, is mid band only. The AT&T one is low band only. The Verizon one is millimeter wave only. So if I had to recommend one, it would be the T-Mobile one. And the T-Mobile network's the one I recommend because the T-Mobile one isn't going to cost extra. Sprint's charging extra. Verizon's charging extra. AT&T is going to be charging extra. The only one I could recommend, honestly, is T-Mobile. $1,300, Tom. Life in USA asks, what do you think will happen in December? 3 weeks. 2.5, 3 weeks. I think there's going to be a deal that's reached. I think that the judge is eventually going to say to the states, look, there's not enough here to say antitrust. I think we got a good deal. You guys need to come to an agreement of some sort. I think there's going to be two things. States can actually win, and then T-Mobile, Sprint, and Dish can win all at the same time. And the way this happens is, so T-Mobile and Sprint get to merge. Dish gets to be the new fourth carrier. And then the states need to get protections for consumers. So that would be the price hikes. They could name some. The 5G promises, like the things that the FCC has, all those will be in place. But I think if Texas, New York, if they want to do something, get price locks, very specific price locks with timeframes, and get job securities. If you can get those agreements in language that works, and follow-throughs and punishments and fines, and get the FCC and the DOJ on board with that, then I think every party can win. Might just take a little bit of time. I remember the Bumblebee phone. And the thing about the Nextel Chirp didn't count against your minutes. Back in the day, remember, you used to have to pay for like 300 minutes, 500 minutes, 1,000 minutes, nights and weekends. Eddie, good to have you on, buddy. Never late, man. Always on time. Seabass, T-Mobile one is low band only. I'm hearing it's low and mid. I'll have to check into that, Seabass, get confirmation. Unless you got like official documentation on it, for sure. I mean, it's just something we'll have to check into. I heard it was low and mid. It being low band only kind of would confuse me because what they're doing with the 2.5 gigahertz is going to be huge. If AT&T's is low band only and T-Mobile's is low band only, I don't know. I can't recommend any of them. I mean, I could recommend the AT&T one and the T-Mobile one because it's low band. And everybody's like, oh, it's only 200 megabits per second. What's wrong with 200 megabits per second? There's hardly any places getting LTE that fast. What's up, Mikey Tech Reviews? Good to have you on, bud. No, Tom, that is the 5G one. The 5G one's 1300. Pete says Pixel 5 or 6 will be 5G. Pixel 5 probably. Or they'll have like a 5G variant. Gary, the walkie-talkie thing was not just cool, it was effective, man. It was really good. And it was nationwide. People were chirping from states away. It wasn't a gimmick, it was legit. Carlos says, I'll grab a 5G T-Mobile phone on my T-Mobile account. Test 5G here in Vegas for you. See how speeds are. I know Sprint was great in DFW. 80% town covered with my LG V50. Wow. Yeah, definitely give me some feedback on that. Let me know how that turns out. I've always rooted for Sprint. I've just been frustrated by them. 1,200 minutes, 600 minutes. Yeah, I remember those days. Nights and weekends used to start at like 7 p.m. No, the chirp didn't count against your minutes. It was separate, which was nice. You know what, Chris? You're right, man. He was part of the problem. I mean, I don't know if you want to blame him completely. I mean, but he was there for all of it. And then Marcelo came in after the fact. You know, people call Marcelo a failure, but like, what did he inherit? Nextel had unlimited incoming calls. A lot of providers did. Cheryl, there will be no CDMA GSM thing. It's not. That's going the way of the dodo bird. It's all LTE. It's all 5G moving forward. You know what, Frankie? That's true. That is an interesting twist. And that the 13 states that are on board with the block have all been Democrat representation. That's true. The representation from Texas is Republican. But I also feel like that 14 state Texas, because it's a Republican state, they're probably also the easiest to appease in an agreement. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know, but it's true. Like, that's a legitimate thing. Like, the politics behind it doesn't make sense. Why would a Republican state want to oppose or kind of join forces with the Democratic side? You know, right and left wing. Sneed, why did you pay $1,300 a phone? I never paid $1,300 for a phone. The most money I ever paid for a phone was $649. Oh no, and actually no, I ended up getting on Black Friday. Well, so it's $649 for the OG Pixel 1. I bought on Black Friday. It was half price. Like, I got like $390 in credits or whatever. So I ended up paying like $400 for that. I paid about $450 for my Google Pixel 2 XL. I paid about $400 for my S9 Plus that I gave to my mom. I've always been around there. I've always been around that $400 or $500 price range. I don't really spend more than that. I mean, I've had iPhones and stuff like, I don't know. I've had like every single phone that's ever come out. Seriously, tested, owned, fixed and sold, repaired. I've seen them all, tested them all. Phones, I don't know. They really don't impress me much. The Galaxy phones are really nice. The Pixel cameras I like. I've never really been impressed by iPhones. I like what iOS does, but I don't personally like iOS. I don't know. I'm kind of a Google guy because I use Google Suite for work, my personal, my school. I've always liked Google stuff, and I love the Google cameras. The unlimited storage is nice. Every phone has its little features and things that get people on. Paul Boyd, I remember Nokia phones, man. They're back. You can get some nice Nokia phones. I think you got to be on T-Mobile or AT&T though to run them. Chris, enjoy the rest of the night, man. See ya. Frankie, as a public service announcement, if you guys could all read Frankie's comment, CDMA and GSM, not a thing anymore, guys. Especially post-merger. Like, CDMA is done. Verizon is decommissioning all CDMA. Sprint CDMA will be gone. GSM is, a passing technology. It's all going to be LTE and 5G. Willie Parker says AT&T is garbage. Network is good. The company's business practices, it's a conversation in and of itself right there. AT&T was 7-7. Verizon was like 8-9. I remember those days. Jamal, what's up, buddy? Glad you could be here. Thanks for stopping by. T-Mobile's nights started from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. And you guys remember those, huh? Mikey Tech Review says Sprint Iden's network, Boost Mobile was on, and they had Chirp Direct Connect back in the day and shrinkage. I mean, I remember the tap to talk, the walkie-talkie two-way. Remember that stuff. Yep, the good old days, nights and weekends. Mikey, soon as the merger is through, CDMA is essentially through. Verizon's shutting theirs down. It's going to be all LTE. That's pretty much it. T-Mobile, before it was T-Mobile, was Voice Stream. Alan says, before my time. It was right around my time. Like, I was a teenager. So I remember that. Gary says, Visible is headquartered in Texas. Tom, which company are you talking about? Multi-billion-dollar company, no toll-free phone support. Willie Parker says now they want you to pay $1,800 for a 5G phone. $1,300 is what I've seen. I haven't seen $1,800. Oh, Mikey Tech Reviews. How was the Unpacked event? A lot of people said it was pretty cool. Some people were disappointed in the phone itself, like the Note 10. They liked the Note 10 Plus. They said it was good. What do you think of that presentation? I want to see what you'd have to say about that. Alan says, why can't there be more MVNOs like Google Fi to give you access to multiple networks? That's a good question. The only problem with Google Fi is their price per gig is a little bit expensive. If that improved, they're a fantastic offer. The value is just not really there. But if you travel, Google Fi makes all types of sense. Or if you only use a few gigs per month and you're mostly Wi-Fi, Google Fi makes tons of sense. Chris S. says, thanks for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Yeah, Alan, I can confirm Google Fi is great. My parents took a vacation, I want to say like 2 years ago, and I ordered them a couple of Google Fi SIM cards. I think my mom had the Nexus 6 at the time, which was the first phone supported for Project Fi at the time. And then I got my dad the LG Nexus 5X. Fantastic. They used tons of data. It ended up being expensive. But like if you're going to go anywhere for 30 days and use a lot of data, $200 for that month. I mean, Rafi holding it down as the moderator. Thanks, buddy. Carlos says, I hate going into the AT&T store. I needed a new SIM for one of my test lines, and they always push DirecTV sales. They really do. If you deny, they treat you like crap. I would have canceled AT&T already. Carlos, that's how they've always been with me, man. They did the same thing with me. It got to the point where I started just calling in what I needed, and even then, they were like trying to sell me other stuff, TV and whatever else. So annoying. Chris, thank you, man. Thanks for the support. Alan Dubs says, where is visible in Tejas? Oh, man. Saw Flossie Carter at the Samsung Unpacked event. Also, Eric, Easy Computer Solutions. Those are probably nice guys. I feel like those are two of the most easy to watch guys on the YouTube. Frankie asks, how will this merger affect Google Fi customers, especially with their devices? What will Google offer? I think Google's going to stand pat. I don't think they're going to change anything. You'd have the new T-Mobile network. You would have access to 5G, from what I understand. You still have the U.S. Cellular part to it. So, what's up, Walter Scott? Good to have you. What's going on? John, I think it's John, right? John Panigua. Good to have you on, buddy. Yeah, Alan, AT&T is always trying to upsell. Flossian is in love with himself. No thanks. Yeah, but I mean, he offers a unique perspective on hardware and technology. You know, he's got his own style and stuff. I mean, if you can look past the fact that he's in love with himself, I mean, he does make some pretty engaging videos. It might be a little bit off the top for some people, but, you know. I knew it, John. I remembered. Because I want to say I was calling you Joan, and my bad about that. What's happening, Captain MC7? Captain. Damn, Carlos, we need a history on U.S. Cellular, even though it's a regional carrier, but at one time it covered a lot of the nation back in the day. I could do a U.S. Cellular one. That'd be kind of cool. But it's such a small carrier, you know, being a regional carrier. I wouldn't classify it as national. I would classify it as regional, like you said. But they've got some solid roaming agreements in place. So people are covered when they're on the network. Yeah, they got those roaming agreements. Mark Garcia says white shoes is in the house. What's up, everybody? This is your boy Floss, back with another video. Dudes, I mean, it's classic. It's his thing, which is why I can respect what he does, you know? Mikey Tech says visible service was great in my area. Using the last 30 days. 30 days was up last night. Are you going to renew, Mikey? Good enough? Captain MC with the super chat. You know what, man? I think we're going to do the T-Mobile history of next. Then we'll do the Sprint. Then we'll do the history of the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. 2014. Failed. Blocked. Then we'll do the history of the 2011 AT&T and T-Mobile merger. Blocked and failed. And then I think we'll do U.S. Cellular. And I got to squeeze in Dish in there somewhere. I got some ideas for the history of. So I'm probably going to end up with about 7 or 8 history of videos. Hopefully I can get to all of them by the end of the year. If I get 1 or 2 done each month, I should have a nice little catalog by the end of 2019. Yeah, Sebastian. Calm down, white shoes. You know, like, I don't watch all of Floss's videos because there's just some things I don't care to watch. Like, he literally unboxes and reviews everything. Speakers, Bluetooth headphones and speakers. He does all the phones that I don't even really care for. But, like, anything that he does from the smartphone side that interests me, I always watch. Lavendi says do the history of CDMA and GSM. It's actually not a bad idea. The history of CDMA, the history of CDMA, the history of GSM, the history of LTE, and then the future of 5G. It's a good idea. So, Mikey Tech, you got the Beyond plan. Have you looked at any of the new plans? Get more, do more, play more, be more, eat more. It's just crazy, these names. Mark Kramer, glad you could stop by tonight. How many cell devices can connect to a cell tower? It depends. It depends on the antenna hardware. It depends on the spectrum allocations in that market. So, say for example, it's let's say it's a big city. It's a city like Chicago. It's a city like Dallas. Obviously, the requirements on those cell sites are going to be higher. So maybe they go 20 by 20 on a channel, talking megahertz. They might go 20 by 20. With the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, they might be doing 30 by 30, or they might be doing, you know, double the channels. Like they might do 2 channels of 20 by 20. Those types of arrangements are what dictates the capacity of those towers and how many consumers they can support. I've heard that some towers can support 10,000 people. I've heard some towers can support 20,000 people. The problem is how much spectrum is available on those channels, what type of antenna hardware is on there, 256 QAM, 4x4 MIMO, those type of technologies. It really just depends on the tower. Older towers that have not been upgraded in a long time don't have much capacity, therefore less cell phones can connect to it. Sometimes connections get rerouted to other neighboring towers. Even though the signal will be weaker, the speeds will be better because there's less congestion on it. I used to see this all the time. At my old house where I used to live, I would move between 3 towers when I was home. There was one that was like southeast, one that was southwest, and one that was east. These 3 different towers for Verizon. And literally, depending on how congested each one was, my connection would change. I'm in the same place. I'm in my house. I'm in my bedroom. But I would look on my cell mapper and see that my connection to certain towers would change. So like I said, those are all factors. How many are connected to a neighboring tower? What type of spectrum allocations are there? What type of hardware is on there? There's no real rule of thumb. And sometimes you'll see a big tower with big antennas. That's a high capacity tower. If you see a smaller tower with smaller antennas, or you see like a micro cell, obviously they don't have much capacity. No, Tom, I don't think we're doing a history of do more, play more, none of that. Stupid naming, man. It's awful. George Regas, what's up, buddy? I think it's possible for the regional guys to merge to become a national carrier. Maybe even buy some spectrum along the way. They don't want that investment. It's a lot of money. It's difficult being a national carrier. It's really hard. It takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of infrastructure, huge capex. It's a big operation and consistent investment. Zoli, why don't you do me a favor, Zoli? Join the Discord community. Hit me there so I don't forget. So the Volk Phi thing, I got you. Join the Discord community. Go ahead and hit me in the SMT Nation channel. I'll get to that, I promise. Just remind me. Eddie, when the Sprint T-Mobile merger is finally complete, will Sprint service kind of go down a little bit until everything is worked out? Well, if Sprint service sucks where you are, it'll get better. If Sprint service is really, really good where you are, it might get worse for a little bit. It's just going to be part of that whole integration process. Hopefully it goes by smoothly. No major hiccups. Doesn't take too long, but it's possible that there's going to be some steps back. Brian, that's hilarious. Oh, you're welcome, Mark. You're welcome. Mikey Tech Review says, Sneed, I got towers 2 blocks from me. How do I find out if those towers are Verizon? If they're that close and you've got a strong signal and your speeds are fast, they're Verizon tower. Also, you can use like an app. I think Cell Mapper is a good one. There's a couple of good apps. Just hit the App Store. You can even call them actually and ask them. Get connected to a customer care representative, and they could tell you where the closest sites are. Troy Hicks, the one I was using was Cell Mapper, and use the paid apps because you get more access to more features. Rafi, right on. Ask Verizon; they'll tell you. What just happened? Sneed just lost internet. Are we good? Frankie says, good idea on the history of wireless tech. I believe many out there don't comprehend or are confused. GSM older, CDMA younger, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, HSPA, HSPA plus, 3G on steroids. Yeah, clear up yeah, it's probably a good idea. The problem is so much of that legacy tech is going to be discontinued and decommissioned. I guess if I'm going to do it, I'd have to do it pretty soon. I mean, I guess it's still worth it to do it. I don't know. I'll put it on the back burner. Once I get through the history of all the companies I want to do, then we'll start looking at legacy technologies and stuff like that. Yeah, for those of you just getting in recently, go ahead and say your hellos and hit the like button. Army of the Lord Minister, Kenneth Espinosa. Will Sprint T-Mobile, if they do not sprint, where they go broke? Sprint's not going to go broke. They're always going to be looking for a bailout before they want to reinvest big bucks. Frankie guys will tell you. Frankie in the live chat, big shout out to Frankie. The problem with Sprint is their parent company. They could come in and save the day. They could change their business plan. They're choosing to back off. They want the buyout. They want out. SoftBank wants out. The merger gives them a way out. If they don't get it, they're going to be looking for a buyout from somebody else or a merger with somebody else. Open Signal, good. Excuse me, guys. I'm starting to get a little tired. If you have any comments or questions in the next couple minutes, get those in quickly as we wrap up the podcast and Q&A. Who would dislike? Somebody with fat fingers. Eric Black says, would Metro by T-Mobile get 5G in the beginning or after the year 2020? Because I think I've heard that before, but I'm not sure. As soon as T-Mobile offers low-band 5G, anybody with a 5G phone that's compatible with those frequencies will get connectivity to it. So, get a T-Mobile SIM, try it out, get connected. Metro should be getting 5G. I mean, T-Mobile has a way of giving Metro the first to everything. So I would expect it. Mikey Tech Review says, I'm getting average speed in my house. Signal is really bad with T-Mobile. Yeah. Unless they get the network upgrades in your area, T-Mobile's probably average to below average. But once those upgrades are made there, T-Mobile's network is usually very fast. Boost Mobile is going to be owned and operated by Dish. Pricing should be good. They got a good sweetheart deal there. So thanks, Rafi. Appreciate it. Verizon or AT&T maybe dislike the video. Oh, that's funny. Jarko, and I don't know much about Metro's customer service, honestly. I know that the stores are kind of hit and miss. All right, guys. I think what we'll do is we'll kind of wrap it up there. It was a good podcast. It was good to talk to you guys about the topics. The Note 10 5G is out for Verizon, millimeter wave only. The T-Mobile variation, the Sprint variation, and the AT&T variation will be coming out at a later time, probably quarter 4 of 2019. Each one will be doing 5G a little bit differently, so be mindful of that. My advice to most of you is pass on any 5G phones in 2019, maybe even pass 2020. Maybe wait until 2021 or 22 to get a 5G device, especially as 5G networks really start to get that deployment. We've got to see cities become more ubiquitous with 5G, and then you could justify spending the money. And of course, 5G phones, like they're too expensive right now. When they're brand new, 500-600 bucks, we'll see an adoption rate being much higher. And like I said, it's hard for anybody to really advise getting a 5G phone when it's so limited in availability and then the devices are so expensive. But anyways, that was a good topic. We didn't get a chance to talk about Huawei's new OS, Harmony. I think that's going to be a game changer internationally, maybe not stateside, but should offer some innovative pressures to Google's Android and maybe iOS as well. You never know. We'll see where that goes. I'll be watching that story. I love operating system technologies and mobile. So we'll see. I want to thank everybody here that watched and viewed the live stream. I want to thank all who participated in the live chat. I want to thank everybody who donated a super chat. And also want to thank the PayPal donations as well. So PayPal donations from Chris Estes as well as Matthew W. Thank you guys for your generous donations to the channel's productions. Much appreciated. Big shout out to all that gave super chats again. Trying to think back to any of the names of those who did. Jamil, thank you for moderating and donating. Rafi, thank you for moderating as well, always holding it down. Big shout out to the patrons over on the Sneed Mobile Tech Patreon page. Link in the description for that. Big shout out to the Discord gang, SMT Nation. If you want to consider joining that community, got a link in the description there as well. I think I'll leave it at that. Got work in the morning, so I got to get going. But it was good having you guys on. Excellent conversation. And we'll see you guys on the next one. I am the SMT, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.